Everyone, welcome to a new video. Today we are going to play this Blox Fruit Quiz. So let's play. What is this fruit? That's rocket. That's spin. That is blade. But there's no blade, there's chop. That is spring fruit. That is bomb fruit. And bomb is actually getting a rework in update 27. That is smoke. That is spike. That is flame. That is falcon, which is now eagle. That is ice, which is going to get a rework in update 27. That is sand fruit. That is dark fruit. That is diamond fruit. That is light fruit. That is rubber fruit. That is barrier fruit, which is now creation. That is ghost fruit. That is ghost, which used to be revive. And a little fun fact about ghost fruit is that it used to be revive and it used to be an uncommon fruit. That is magma. But now it is a rare fruit and it's now called ghost. That is quake. That is Buddha. That is love. That is spider. And spider used to be called string fruit. That is sound fruit. And a little fun fact about sound fruit is that sound fruit is a fan-made fruit. It's not from the actual anime One Piece. It is a fan-made fruit. That's Phoenix. That is Portal. And Portal used to be called a door fruit. And that is Rumble. That is Pain Fruit, and Pain Fruit is going to get a rework in update 27. And Pain Fruit used to be called Paw Fruit. That is Blizzard Fruit. That is Gravity Fruit, which got a rework. That is Mammoth Fruit. That is T-Rex Fruit. That is Dough Fruit. That is Shadow Fruit, aka my current fruit. That is Venom Fruit. That is Control Fruit. That is Spirit Fruit. And Spirit Fruit used to be called Soul Fruit. That is Dragon Fruit. That is Leopard. That is Kitsune. Oh, now it's asking us islands. That is Jungle. That is Marine Fortress. That is Castle on the Sea. That is in C3. That is Pirate Starter. That is... Oh, it's because I'm not in C3 yet. So I don't really know. That is Fountain City. And Fountain City is the last island in C1. Is that Hydra Island? Yeah. That is Marine Starter. That is Prison Island. That is Magma Village. That is, oh, Kingdom of Rose. Yes, I scored 48 out of 50. Congratulations. You are a Blox Fruit Quiz expert. Hey. I hope you enjoyed this little quiz. So, don't forget to stay tuned. Bye.